Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope that this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, David, welcome back. Today is my favorite day. How you doing today?
Welcome back to you, too. I'm doing good. I think it's a great day. It's beautiful out here in Florida, of course.
Yeah, it is.
We are lucky. We're fortunate. We're blessed.
Yes.
And if you're watching us where it's cold, sorry.
Yeah,
it's 85 degrees here in Florida.
And it's gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
I just got back from the Philadelphia area, Ridley Park, celebrated my cousin's 70th birthday. She's now older than me, so I can call her the old lady.
There we go. Good.
And we are the two oldest left in the family. But besides that, and it was cold. I'll tell you what, I moved here from Wyoming, and I can't handle the cold anymore.
Yeah, you can't handle it. After you moved down here about 2 years, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done,
yeah.
Which is beautiful. This is a great place. So enough about Tampa.
Yeah.
Today, what we want to do is we're going to be talking about community, but we're also going to be talking about, tied to that, which is you're not alone.
Right.
We're not alone in this world, even though we may feel alone. So talk to me about, you had an interesting experience at like a leadership thing.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I was listening to Paul Martinelli, who is one of the leading mindset coaches. He does a lot of
big leadership guy.
Yeah. Think and Grow Rich and some other things like that. And his topic today was community. And now, good or bad, Paul is very wealthy.
No, that's great.
Hey, man. And he's a giver.
Enjoy it.
He's a huge giver.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But he lives in a community that him and his wife wanted. They bought this house and everything else. They'd been there. They had been there a year before he realized he didn't know anybody. He had people that cooked his meals. He had things.
So he had everybody do things for him.
Yeah, he had everybody do things for him. He says, I could go 2, 3, 4 weeks without going out of the house.
Yeah, because he goes and speaks in front of a lot of people.
Yep.
But as far as his home is kind of his castle.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah. So what did he do when he realized that?
The way he realized it, they got 2 dogs.
Okay.
And boxers, which, if you don't know anything about dogs, boxers can be
very
friendly.
You're a dog
I'm a dog
guy.
person, right? And so he had to get out of the house. Somebody had to walk the dogs.
Yep.
I mean, he paid a trainer, but the trainer's not going to come and walk your dog every day,
So he started walking the dogs.
Started walking the dogs. Him and Holly started walking the dogs. And everybody in the community knew the dog's name.
But not
they
theirs.
Didn't know his name. And so they finally decided slowly, and they're very outgoing people. I mean, you get him in a group, he's very outgoing until, he's done.
And again, it's his house. My wife, Tanya, we had talked about this. Tanya is a real estate person around a lot of people, but also leads our Celebrate Recovery, which is a lot of people work.
Yep.
And she's a pastor's wife. So when you add all that together, when she comes home, and she's not like what you would call an extrovert, a complete extrovert.
Right.
She comes home, she wants to be away from people.
Yes.
And he sounds like the same thing. He gets home, he goes, I don't need to be around a lot of people, but he's now consciously thinking about
community, getting out, getting about. And I have the same issue. My dog's a little terrier and Yorkie, and he's loud, boisterous, and and the bigger the dog, the louder he is.
Yeah.
So the whole neighborhood knows the dog's name. The dog's name is Tico. They don't know my name. I'm not sure if they know Rita's name or not. I believe they now know the girls' names because they've been walking him a lot. But the thing is that when Paul was talking about this, it really brought it to mind in that if I'm truly doing what Jesus told us to do,
live out the Great Commission,
and my neighbor doesn't know my name.
Yeah. Then it's the whole idea. It's the 2-part process.
Yep.
Am I loving God and loving people? And if I am I living out the Great Commission of going and making disciples and discipling by teaching the Word of God and baptizing in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? Bottom line is that's the challenge here.
It is.
The challenge is, am I living out these 2 huge statements that Jesus brought out? And I would say for myself all the time, no.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with saying that because I know I'm an imperfect person. I know you are, and I know you are.
That's right.
So we don't.
That's right. We're in the same boat.
But what do we do to get to a better place? Because there's also that other side. Okay, I got to reach out. I'm around a lot of people. I don't want to be around a lot of people at my home, kind of a deal. I like being around people all the time. I'm an extreme extrovert, so I like that. It gives me energy. But what if you feel alone? And that's the thing is that. We have the opposite. He's talking to in front of a bunch of people, but you also have people, and a lot of us who are going to watch this, who are on computers all day. And don't have that connection with people, and may feel a little isolated and alone. And one thing we got to remind you of, and we say this all the time, is you're not alone. God is there. He's omnipresent. He's with us always. And so the goal of the Great Commission, or a Great Commandment of love God and love others in Matthew 22 is when we're feeling lonely, at least if I feel that way, I stop pretty much everything. I will get into my Bible, start reading. I'll also sit and be quiet before the Lord and start speaking and listening to Him. That's a key. So if you're feeling a little alone right now, or a lot alone, maybe even feeling isolated, one of the first things we got to do is reach up. Right? Yeah. Reach up to God and go, I'm feeling alone. I'm feeling lonely. I feel like no one's around. Lord, help me. And help me to be able to learn how to love, because right now I'm having a hard time loving people.
Right.
Because we all go through that.
Yeah, we do. And that's one of the things. When you get lonely like that, you have a hard time really reaching out to people or loving them the way you should.
We have that. Oh, yeah. I remember with cancer and being home for a good amount of time, I felt, people were coming over, but I still felt isolated as an extrovert. And even when I came over to the church for the first time, I felt a little awkward. And I went, oh, this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
I felt weak. I was very weak at the time, tired. And I was thinking, wow, this is what it would feel like for someone who's been isolated a little bit to come into an environment like a church. And, you're supposed to be loved on, all this stuff. But, it's kind of a weird dynamic, because if someone doesn't come up to you, go, man, these people aren't very nice.
They don't like me.
But if people come up to you and get too much into your business, then you're going, man, they're like going way beyond what they're supposed to do here. Yeah. I need my space. So there's that. How do we work through all that?
Yeah, and that's tough. It's addicts, same way.
Oh my goodness, isolation, big time.
Isolation, because hey, we know what we're doing, but you don't.
Right. So if you, like for gambling with you, me was alcohol. Other people would be drugs. Other be porn. Those things, when they're overwhelming us, we definitely will isolate. All of us will. We'll all isolate.
Yeah. Trust me. Yeah.
Yeah. You know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yes,
we will isolate, because I know that I think I'm hiding it from everybody, but not really.
No, because God knows.
Well, not only that, is that people start kind of noticing too.
They do see things.
Functioning alcoholics, which I always think is a funny kind of,
it is a funny term.
Oxymoron there, really. But there are many people who are very functional in their work, but are getting wasted in the evening, or may already on a scale, maybe halfway through being drunk, but do great in business for some reason. But then they get a DUI, or and I've ran into a number of guys that have ran into that, and very successful men that have put themselves in that kind of place and had to finally address the issue of isolating themselves from everyone, and that includes their wife and their kids. What I mean by isolate, I'm still with you. It's kind of like I'm here, but I'm not here.
You're not here.
They're not present.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I will not let you get closer than this from, with me, with my heart.
Right.
Because I can't let you know what's happening. I remember talking to a gentleman, doesn't come to our CR. I met him through family member. And as I was talking to him, very functional, military guy, awesome. But there was something that you could tell that was keeping separation. And he finally told me one time, I've been in AA meetings before, but I never could get past getting a sponsor, because he doesn't want people to know. Shows weakness. He doesn't want people to know. And he's functional, very high functional. But, that's the danger of this. And so that whole idea of community helps us.
Yes.
If we have a group of men that get together to talk, that may struggle with gambling or have struggled in the past.
Right.
And if they could run into a couple other guys that have been, are further along and have been defeating this thing, they could come along and connect with them and learn, right? Or a soccer mom. We live in a soccer community.
Yes, we do.
And very pressure-packed community area. This whole area, if you're not from the Tampa area, but West Chase, Water Chase, Country Way, that whole kind of the Eagles, these are all golfing communities, well-to-do. And it's a lot about keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
And so it's a place where A lot of the ladies here are they're with their kids in soccer, and they're also in very good shape, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was an aerobics trainer and personal trainer, and so she's kind of kept that along.
Right.
But she has even told me, David, there's a lot of people out there taking Ritalin and stuff to keep that weight down.
Yeah.
To try to stay with the Joneses. And we've had to, Sam, you don't know this, but we've had to bury a mother of 3 kids who you would never think in a million years. And she was hiding the drugs she was taking to keep her weight down.
Wow.
And she looked great. And one day she just got angry and took a bunch of those pills when she left a baseball game from her kids, got mad and left and took them and ended up taking too much. Yep. And her brain died.
Yeah.
And I had to be with the family. This was many years ago. Be with the family to finally make the decision to. They said that there's no hope for her. Yeah. And no brain function at all, 0. And they said if we took her off any life support, she would die instantly. Right. She wouldn't breathe. And that was it. They took her off. And wherever you stand in that area, that's what they did. I'm not beating them up. That's what they did. And she was gone. Yeah. And she was gone already, but she was gone. And it was because she didn't have anyone to go to talk to. I'm struggling with this, and I don't know how to deal with it. Right.
And the reality of it is there was probably soccer moms right next to her.
Oh, a bunch of them.
That were doing the same thing.
Yep.
And
then you have soccer dads or dads that are working, crazy hours trying to keep up with things. And that was 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Now you have moms and dads that are both working, both high professionals in homes, which is awesome, great. Yep. But there's the challenge of connecting with each other. Yeah. And I don't have enough time after soccer and baseball and basketball and football and all that stuff to even think about connecting in a church.
Right.
And really that's the thing you need the most, right? Is the connection spiritually and relationally with people that you could talk about your struggles and not be judged. That's the hope.
Yeah.
Now, let's be honest. There are churches and there are church people in all churches that will judge people.
Oh, absolutely.
But there are people in bars and nightclubs who will judge people.
Yep.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where you go.
It's human beings.
It is. Yeah.
It's about it. And so I want to encourage you, if you have said, man, these church people are going to just judge me and stuff, there may be some.
Yep.
There may be a couple that will do that. For the most part, if the church is a healthy church, that gets snuffed out pretty quickly. What I mean is that they'll just go, hey, man, you don't need to be doing that. And then secondly, you'll run into other people who go, hey, man, we're all screwed up and we need to work with each other and keep each other accountable and help each other out and love on each other as we go through this thing called life.
Right.
So that's what you need to be looking for if you're doing that.
But, you touch on something there. We are all are imperfect.
Yeah.
But when you come into a new facility or a new church and you've never been there before, and my wife and I experienced this a lot when we moved to Tampa. It took us a long time to find the harbor. Yeah. And we did the same thing. We came out with some hurt.
Yep.
But we were looking for community. We knew what we were looking for. It took us a long time to find it. And we found it here at the harbor. We knew we would be judged by somebody. For our past eventually. Yeah. But we also knew we're on the right track. We're here because God ordained for us to be in Tampa.
Well, I thought it was funny because I remember you bringing it up to me going, hey, this is our past with our church and what happened with the church, and go, okay, great. Yeah. Hey, join the club. I mean, to me, it was kind of like, okay, now you have some experience. You know what it feels like to hurt people and to be hurt by people and church leaders. Yeah. Because we can hurt people.
Yes.
And then it's about how do we not, and if we do, how quickly can we make amends with people? Right? And how do we work through that pain? Because you and I have many similar experiences in church that caused a lot of pain for me. But also we have similar experiences when it comes to business and life in general. People are people. Human beings are, we're imperfect. So we've made the mistakes and hurt people too. Yeah. So it's about how do we work through that and learn from it and grow from it.
Yeah.
So,
and how do we just go forward and say, hey, Dave, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that is so hard. That contraction in word, I'm sorry, that's so hard for people to say.
Well, it's not even that. It's just, this is what I'm sorry for. Bang, 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 bang. I've had to get used to doing this with my daughters and my wife and people in the church, honestly. So it's, this. And then after that, is that correct? And when I finally have that correct, after we paraphrase a bit, and we've talked about that,
right.
Then it's, okay, will you forgive me?
Right.
And that is always funny to watch somebody take that and go, some will go, whoa, what do you mean by that? And then others will look and go, you don't have to do that. Right. And I go, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I need to do that for me, and I need to do that for you. And we just need to say, are we there yet, or do we need to talk more? Because that brings it to the forefront, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, am I going to really forgive this person?
Right. Uh-huh.
And that's where community is. That's part of community. Yes. I think community is forged in hard, difficult conversations.
Yes.
I think it's forged in all of us talking about our junk, our hurts, habits, and hangups, and working through those together, and being open with people about, hey, I don't have it all together, and I know you don't either, but you're a little more ahead than me in certain areas, and I'm a little more ahead than you in certain areas. We can help each other.
Yep. I was told once when I had to do a bunch of phone interviews and things like that, and I was told, what you want to look at when you're looking at people on the other end of the phone before Zoom and all this kind of stuff is, remember, they put their pants on the same way you did this morning.
Yes,
one leg at a time. Y'all do it the same way I do. One. If you can put them on 2 legs at a time,
that's awesome.
That's awesome. But I doubt it. Anyway, but we don't look at ourselves that way in front of people. Yeah. And so we lose that sense of we think we have to be perfect in front of people.
No, I think humility in community is huge.
It is.
It's about understanding and being self-effacing. To be able to kind of be okay with, I know I don't have it together.
Right.
I'm good with that.
Right.
I know you don't either. But again, you're further ahead in a certain area. Can I learn from you? Mm-hmm. And they may say, well, you're doing really well over here. Can I learn from you? Right. And we learn from each other, and we make amends and we forgive. Mm-hmm. But you can't do that if you're isolating yourself.
Right. Right.
We can't do that when we isolate. So when we have drugs, alcohol, porn, gambling issues, food addictions, and we're trying to hide all that stuff, or we have past pain, past hurt, people who have done some horrible things to us, and we just have a hard time with trusting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Again, walls. And we make our own prisons and our own walls. Mm-hmm. We build one guy told me that, we make our own prisons one brick at a time, and we put bricks around us to a point that we forget that we don't make a door to get out.
Right.
And that can be a very dangerous place to be. Yeah. And so I was there after the hurt of my first church. It was so painful that I went to Tanya and go, I don't know if I could trust anybody.
Right.
I just don't know if I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had to work through it. I had to work with some other men in that to work through that, in another church with some other pastors. And that was real helpful for me. I remember when our youth minister here ended up, this was years ago, but he ended up having an inappropriate relationship with one of our teenagers, ruined our church. I mean, it just devastated us. But if I didn't feel like I had community with me, the people in our church that I could go to and just go, I can't believe this. Yeah. And just be able to cry with some people. Mm-hmm. And we brought counselors in and stuff for that. And we had to send people away because their kids couldn't be here when they heard all that. Mm-hmm. I would have never been able to get through that without the community. When our daughter died, when Rebecca died, I know there's no way that Tanya and I could keep moving forward. Right. And if we weren't given the break, the time to grieve in this church, to have a group of pastors be able to preach for me over and over again, when I just went to you guys and go, everybody thought I would be able to come back, after I think it was like 5 weeks, and you guys set up a 5-week series, and I just called you guys up and said, I can't do it. I need you guys to do another series. I'm just not there. And the church was cool with that, great with it. They were. And because I had community, I had people that loved us and we loved them, and we'd shown enough love to other people in this church that they said, hey, go take what you need. Yep. And then 6 months after her death, 6-7 months after her death, someone gave us a vacation in Hawaii. Yeah. That's not even from this church, from a totally different church, a friend of my sister. And when I went to the leaders here, they're going, go. get out of here. And it was like 3 weeks, and they said, just leave.
Yeah.
And we all need that.
Yeah,
and I hear pastors, because I'm around pastors a lot, and I hear so many pastors that feel like just totally alone. Like they cannot trust the people in their church. They believe that if they don't preach on every week, they're going to get fired. And it's not a good place to be, and get away from pastors. All of us feel like that at times.
At times, yeah. We feel like if we aren't there when the church doors are open, or we're not at work every single day at this point in time, we forget about the family and the community and stuff like that. One of the closing thought here, real quick. We're about out of time, but I look back when we went back to Philadelphia. I took my niece around and said, "That's where I lived. The Spurks lived down there. This was this person. This was
all
that
the families.
person."
Yeah, I did the same thing.
All the families. And when I came back and then I heard Paul today, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
But think about that. Those of you who are in our age group, or even some younger ones, leaning over the fence, talking to your neighbors. Are you doing that now? And being part of the community in the area that you live.
See, because I'm in a community that people know me as Dave that goes out on the paddle boards in the lake. And when the grandsons come, they go out with me. So we do that. But I only know a few of my neighbors, and I start going, wait a second. I wave, I see the same ones, but I don't know them. I know Jackie, who's next to me. I know Joe and Joe down the street. I know some of the people here because I've done stuff with them, but I don't know a lot of the other people there, and that's on me, And I went, okay, I need to not just go out in the water and stuff and say, hey, hi, but get to know people and have them come to my house, because I have a lot of other people come to our house, but we don't have people in our own neighborhood. So that's it's something I would like to do, just to have that community and connection there too. So they don't have to come to our church, but just the connection.
Yeah, you have to have the connection. You can't have all your connections in one spot. No. So it's not healthy.
Spread it out. Spread it out.
Spread the love. This has been Pastor Dave Towner, Sam McKeown. Today is my favorite day. Live intentionally. Be very, very blessed, my friends.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Vaught. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.